Joined now by the Killaloe singer-songwriter Oscar Blue, who's just released his debut album Birds in Winter, written between London and the west of Ireland. The record's a reflective collection that finds meaning in everyday moments. I'm delighted to say Oscar Blue is with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. How are you?
Very well, thanks for being with us. And you must be in a particularly good place with Birds of Winter, just having recently been released. And it's a big moment for any artist when you finally put out that first record. So how does it finally feel to have it out there in the big bad world?
It feels great. Yeah, it just came out at midnight last night. And yeah, it feels amazing. It was a long time coming. Did the whole thing entirely independently. So it was a big project now that I've been working on for probably the guts of a couple of years. And yeah, I played a gig to launch it in London last night. So I'm just coming up for air now. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, delighted to have you on, and great to see a Clare artist doing so well. The record, as I mentioned, written between London, the East End to be precise, and the west of Ireland here. Talk to us a bit about that. Are you based over there? Or?
Yeah, I moved over here a little while ago. I have been living at home, all throughout COVID, and then stayed for 2 or 3 years after university. But I moved over here just over a year ago to try something new, try the even bigger smoke, and yeah, really enjoying it. I'm living down in the East End, so West Ham country for the football fans amongst us.
So you're forever blowing bubbles with all the other Hammers fans.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
The album, Oscar, it's been described as finding meaning in the mundane. I mean, what does that mean in practice? Is it the everyday kind of rat race things that people do that they don't think has meaning, or is there something else that you have in mind?
Well, I think it's probably important for me to acknowledge that there's nothing special about my life. You know what I mean? There's really nothing particularly more poetic that happens in my life day to day than anyone else's. But I guess what I'd like to think is there's a lot of universal themes of hope and overcoming and getting on with things that kind of permeate throughout the album. I think as well, I work over in London part-time in social work. I work with the homeless over here, and you see an awful lot of life every day on the streets. And sometimes it's just a small moment that I might witness or whatever, and it turns into a song.
And the kind of moments that maybe some people on the face would say, think, or, you don't think about, or if they think about it, they think, well, that's not really source material for art, but these are the everyday people and the everyday moments, and they, I guess, deserve to be written about and highlighted, which is what you're doing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I'd have to hope so. There's all sorts of little things. Sometimes it's just a turn of phrase. I was at work one day, and one of the people we work with said the phrase, he just got some good news, and it was 2 magpies, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, and then that turned into a whole song. I wrote that down, thought great little phrase, and I ended up writing a whole song, just about sort of the lines that divide different human beings' lives, and how different people's lives can go such wildly different directions, all by chance. So that's a song on the album called Look at the Draw. Yeah.
I guess it just shows, Oscar, that example that as an artist you always have to have your antennae up for something that someone says or does, or you see something happening that can just provide inspiration.
Exactly. It's a mindset. I guess you go through phases as well. I find when I know I need to write a load of songs, I definitely have that antenna up more. So I have it up at the moment because it's time to start thinking, well, what's going to come after this album? So I do find myself reaching into my pocket, into my phone, to write down little notes here and there as I'm going about my day to day.
God, that just shows you the process never ends. I mean, Birds in Winter only came out at midnight last night. You're already thinking about album number 2. But I suppose that points to, Oscar, the old cliche of you have your whole life up to that point to really make your first album, and then after that it's obviously a bit more confined in terms of time. But to have Birds in Winter out there now, Is the usual following on from that? You going on tour? Will you be visiting over here? How extensive will that be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Whelan's Dublin tomorrow night, so that's the big album launch with my full band. And then we're working on basically some dates maybe later on in the year. I've got a few festival bits over the summer. I'm playing up in Oranmore at a new festival called Momentum Festival, opening for the Coronas on the Maybank holiday weekend. I'm doing a little pop-up gig in Limerick as well, in Steamboat Records on the Maybank holiday weekend. And there's a few bits dotted throughout the summer. And then, we're looking at later on in the year, in the autumn and winter, maybe to get out on the road and tour it properly.
Well, look, we wish you the very best with it. Hopefully we'll see you in Clare before too long, and hope it goes really well for you. We're going to play the title track from the record now. But congrats on it. It's always, as I say, a big moment in any artist's career when you finally get that first album out, and hopefully everything goes well for you. And thanks for having a chat with us on the show.
Thank you, Alan, gents. Cheers.
Take care. That's Oscar Blue, the Killaloe singer-songwriter.